this large landscape, I worked differently from how I usually do. I wanted something less literal, more abstracted. So what I did, I divided the canvas into 4 areas. And while I worked on one, I had covered the other 3 with a cotton cloth, so I could only see this. And then I would cover this and move on to another one, and so forth all the way around, so that there were no direct literal connections between each part of the sky. And it made each square its own problem. And I found that to be a really exciting way, a new way for me of approaching the landscape. This is a series of 3 paintings. I've called them drowned peonies because we photographed them immersed in water. We had a very large vase container, and there was a kind of mystery to the light, the way it filtered through. These are meant to be seen all together. They're meant to stay together. And one of the nice things about a series like this is that for each piece you don't have to reinvent the color. You're using similar colors, the same flowers in different configurations, and that allows a certain ease of composition that I don't usually have. Usually I work in single units. So I worked on all of these at the same time. I would leave one to dry and come back to another. The other nice thing about working in a series is that one will inform the other. Something that I discover in this, I think I could apply here. So in that sense, they talk to each other. The other component of this exhibition are monotypes. Monotypes are basically paintings on copper plate using ink. Then you place damp paper on top and put it through a printing press. So in a way, they're printed paintings. You only get one image. You're not doing an edition. The reason I do them is because, first of all, it's the most painterly kind of printmaking I've ever seen. The other thing is that you get a quality of the printed paint or ink that you just don't get with oil paint. It has a different quality. For me, it's a nice change to be working on paper, and it allows for all kinds of different techniques. For this one, for example, I rolled different colors of ink over each other for the background. For the actual lily, I use Q-tips and small rags to take away paint to make the white areas. I find the peonies have a very organic, changeable shape. Also the colors, the subtle pinks and whites. The colors are a little more extreme than there was in the actual peony. If an area suggests a slight bluish cast, I rather exaggerated that color. So it made a white peony something quite varied in terms of color. This painting of waves was worked in a way not unlike the peony. The energy of the water, it seemed to suggest a lot of drawing with the brush, a lot of very vigorous brushwork. There's a story, a history to this painting. When I first started, and it was the first I did in this series, it was waves here and then a large expanse of ocean and then the sky. And I found myself becoming rather bored with the subject and realized that the only thing that really interested me were the waves. So they became larger and much more dominant. And the relationship to the sky became very direct. There wasn't a large expanse of water in the distance. So in a way, it's a painting about waves and sky. The last time I showed at Seoul Gallery was a few years ago. I was dealing with a lot of issues with my painting arm, my shoulder, and was actually not able to use it at all. Now, with the help of two very excellent physiotherapists, I'm using the arm very easily. I still change from one to the other, but the studio is free of that terrible anxiety, which I realize in retrospect was very inhibiting. In a way, this show, I hope, is the beginning of a very productive time. Certainly, I'm feeling really excited about it and really interested to see where it will take me.